It's about to go down.
It's lovely pass, and here he turns cleverly. Can he find a finish? Oh, he can!
Skilled by Joshua, and a return right hand. Good counter right. Bullen is hurt. Second right hand. That clipped him as well. Now he goes in for the kill.
Well, Ricciardo is inching into the lead, and Ricciardo that win the Italian Grand Prix!
Iguodala running the floor.
Still leading the way with Canada in there too, with the Netherlands.
And Musa makes it 4 goals in 2 World Cup matches.
The Monaco Grand Prix! Ricciardo triumphant in Monza.
Through Bowden, Barrett, and an early touch and an excellent...
Sports Orbit. We make the world go round.
Awoniyi has actually ended the Super Eagles later call-up for the match against Central African Republic that will be coming up later this week. At this point in time, Choma Ajuma has actually dragged Obasanjo, who's Odima, talking about the sport minister Sunday Dare to Lagos, but not in the court of law. But he has actually dragged them to Lagos at this point in time. Players are beginning to arrive at the Super Eagles camp right there in Lagos ahead of their double-headed clash against the Central African Republic. This is how we welcome you to yet another fresh edition of Sport Orbit right here on the Leadership of Podcast Studio. My name is Olawale, and I'll be your host for today. And I have with me in the studio 2 great men. Talking sport always is what they actually get to do all the time. I have Sally Usman in the studio.
Thank you, Wally.
Of course, Alpha, how was the weekend?
Lovely, good to be here.
Starting Manchester United.
Yeah, the escape is a point, which is good enough. Same for Arsenal. So these things happen in football.
Of course, the VAR actually helped. A lot of people say that the VAR actually helped Manchester United to actually avoid defeat in that particular match against Everton. But we are going to go into that much later, where we head straight to our first news at this point in time, where Taiwo Awoniyi has been given a late Super Eagles call-up for the match against the Central African Republic coming up on Thursday at the Teslim Hollywood Stadium in Lagos. This is will be his official first call-up for the national team. Sorry for Taiwo Awoniyi. You know that he has been banging goals for Union Berlin in Germany, and the last match he still actually scored a double, against his former club. And at this point in time, he has been handed a call-up for the national team, which was called by the Nigerian coach talking about Conetro.
Yeah, it is long overdue. For a very long time, I've been talking that the Awoniyi should be included in the Super Eagles sport because there have been lots of. If you watch DB, they have been quite on form recently. And even yesterday, he scored a brace out just like he's against his former club, and that will help them to win that match. It's good that I will hope that he takes this opportunity. It's an opportunity that I've been giving to him. And just because including this guy in the team. Although, if you look at the Super Eagles at the moment, we have a lot of striker up front, and maybe that might have delayed his invitation all this while. But now that they are giving him opportunities, it's led for him to prove that yes, he has something better than the striker you have at the team. So good that he has finally given opportunity. I pray that the coach will also give him opportunity to play.
After looking at Taiwo Awoniyi, for a player who has scored about 5 goals in 7 league starts, should he not be the one leading the Super Eagles attack at this point in time?
Well, that will still depend on how the coach wants to play his tactics, his game plan. Like Salif rightly said, I mean, the camp already, Osimhen is fit, Paulo Noacho is fit. So it depends on. So when it comes to strikers, we are abundantly blessed in that department. So it depends on how the coach really wants to play and how. But for a game against Central African Republic, not to play down on their capabilities or anything like this. I really think, on a serious note, Central African Republic shouldn't be really that of a serious test to Nigeria. So in this kind of game, I would expect him to. A lot of these new guys he invited, I would expect him to at least give them some opportunity to, play, because it's one thing to invite players to come, and it's another for them to play. Just like Sandu said, it shouldn't be a situation where he's invited to come, yes, to fill in the vaccine spot by Terry Murphy and all of that. And at the end of the day, he just sits on the bench. It's a double header. So I expect that, in one of these games, a lot of these new players who are getting their first official call up should be given the opportunity to show what they can do on the pitch.
Of course. But if I may ask, yes, you may say that the Central Africa may not be a strong test, just like you said, the Super Eagles, or a strong opening to the Super Eagles. But if you look at the match in question, the start of the match is on the World Cup qualifier. So no coach will want to take a gamble about the time of the match, because whether we like it or not, we are still living a good job with 6 points, and we have Liberia behind us with 3 points. And 3 points, yes. 3 points, and the Central Africa also have 1 point. Central Africa and give a half 1 point each. So in this case, even this match, we still need this very much to win this match here. So I don't think a coach will take it as a gamble.
Like I said,
because you don't look at it. Sorry, you don't like it because of the weakness or the rated the Central Africa, because they're not so strong to just feel any. They likely most want to feel those he thought that is reliable. But I'm not saying Awoniyi is not reliable, but since they are not being the team, all this while, I don't think he will take.
Of course, if you look at this particular game, if we get to win at the double header, I think we are home as dry. We have actually not qualified to the next round, because looking at the teams behind us, talking about Liberia, talking about the Central African Republic. For me, there should be no match for the Super Eagles. Of course.
The point I was trying to make was not really. I'm not downplaying Central African Republic. By giving them opportunity means simply at some point it's a double header. I think at some point in the game, these guys should invite to have a chance to. I mean, if Awoniyi is in the kind of form he is in the club he is, I mean, he deserves a call up. He should, at some point, he should have the opportunity of taking action in this game. I mean, the players who have been invited, I don't expect them to play 90 minutes both in the first and second legs. So that's what I mean. At some point, you have to tinker with the team. So I expect someone like Awoniyi. I'll really be surprised if in these 2 legs, I don't even see him tasting action. I expect him to taste action at some point.
No, it is good that the coach should give opportunity to test him. But if you look at Awoniyi at the moment, head by head, you can't compare him to Seme. Seme is a top striker. Although I'm not saying
Osimhen must play 90 minutes.
No, we're not saying he was playing, but the coach would like to rely on.
Not that about. He can always start
on Osimhen and to rely on Awoniyi. But people have to see, just like you rather give him the opportunity to come in, even though to come as a supporting striker, and to play as a supporting striker. So.
Because if he doesn't play, we won't know what he can do.
Of course, no doubt about this. I'll still stay with the Super Eagles at this point in time. We know that CSK Moscow forward, talking about Chidera AJK has he's actually the first player to actually hit the Super Eagles camp ahead of the Group C 2022 World Cup friendly clash. Double-headed clash, I beg your pardon, with the Central African Republic. He actually took to his Facebook account to actually confirm his arrival at the Super Eagles camp. At this point in time, we know that the legs of Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Iwobi, Egane, Taiwo Awoniyi has been actually ruled out from that particular clash due to injury. Quickly, looking at these players that have been missing this particular match, is this going to affect the quality of play of the team? Knowing fully well that we saw their performance in the last match against Liberia, and some of them didn't actually made it to Cape Verde, but we know that their presence in the team will actually make a huge impact on the team performance at the end of the day.
Yeah, just like the situation against Cape Verde, where a lot of these players were not available. But somehow the team that was fielded still got the job done. So I expect them to still do that. I mean, it's still the Super Eagles. So it shouldn't be that because some certain players are not playing, then the team, it's still the Super Eagles. So I believe whoever replaces them on that day should be able to at least give a good account of themselves.
Salifu, do you think Coach Kenetro should build his team around some certain players, or he should actually build his team with all the players he can actually find at any point in time?
If you look at the Super Eagles at the moment, we don't have any say this is strong player to say to build the team around.
Yeah.
And it's even good not to go build the team around. I would advise the coach to build the team around the player. Because that particular player you build the team around it, if he's not available, you begin to look for something. But what is that the match against Quebec has given us some confidence. Because if by now would have started raising a panic on that, Awoniyi, let's move, it's not going to be around. It's not going to be around. Taiwo is not going to be most especially and Taiwo would have said by now started to make some panic. But the match against Quebec, without them, without those key players, will still be able to get the job done. So that has given some Nigerians some level of confidence. You can even say nobody will make it noise. Like, okay, it is injured, this one is injured. So it's good that sometimes it is good to take some other player, and that the absence against Quebec has given the coach opportunity to test some of those players, this guy that just arrived, educated first arrived, Chidera. He did well against Quebec, and now he's the first to pop into the camp again. I think that has given the team some level of without those so-called key big players, we can still do better in the absence, and believe that just like I have a say in there. Central Africa, although with due respect to them, we're not down to the other others, they are them. They shouldn't be the team that we should warn that we are not going to we should worry about them. But I strongly believe that if the Super Eagles put their heads together and get the job done, they will still get the job done against Central Africa.
Of course, they will still get the job done against Central African Republic at this point in time. News actually coming in is that CAF has actually approved 5,000 fans for the game between Nigeria and Central African Republic right there at the testing Balogun Stadium. It was still the same number when we actually played against Liberia last month. And at this moment in time, 5,000 fans. Alpha, is this fair enough? 5,000 fans coming into the stadium?
I mean, considering the health challenges to COVID, 5,000 fans are just good enough. At least we've gone from playing in empty stadiums to at least having a good number of fans in the stadium. So I think it's good enough. 5,000 fans should be enough to cheer the Eagles on to victory.
Of course, 5,000 fans will be enough to actually cheer the Super Eagles to victory. This is actually coming from Alpha at this point in time. Away from football, we head straight to basketball at this point in time, where the NBBF election, which actually saw players also, which actually saw the elective position for the players rep and also the technical officials were actually held over at the weekend, and a certain Stanley Gumet and Scott Energy actually emerged the player rep and the technical rep at the same time, right, which was actually held at the package B of the Abuja National Stadium. We have known that there is a whole lot of crises right there in the MBBF, but at this point in time, new player rep and also technical officials have actually emerged in that particular election. There were so many reports coming in from the election that some people wanted to impose some of their people to that particular sport. The sports ministry were called. So many people around the basketball stakeholder were called. But at the end of the day, the feelers are actually got that the will of the players and of the technical official actually prevailed in that particular election.
That is a good one, and I think some people are celebrating. While some people, it's not mine in any election. Some will win, some will lose. The most important thing is that the choice of the people, that the players actually prevail, just like you rightly said. There was a rumor that they want to impose the card, they want to impose a player on them, and they, like for those and the Usman who contest against the Gumud. They said that he retired from playing 4 years ago, and he's now a coach. Why should as a coach now be representing the players on the board? So luckily for them, then the player will be able to mobilize them and kicking against the decision of the administrators who want to impose somebody on them. And it is good. In any elections, to allow the will of the people to prevail. So I also give kudos to the NBBF to allow the will of the people to prevail, and even the organizers of the elections to allow that. Yes, this is what we want, but unfortunately, those who are the speech to say they have their own choice and they allow their choice to prevail. So election is Anything in selection is about valuable. So all you need to do as an organizer is give the playground for everybody. Whoever tests their prerogative, whoever is popular, will emerge, and that's what has happened. Okay, even in the technical official, Scotland is very known. If you mention his name anywhere, it's a very renowned name in basketball. There's no
the captain of the Nigerian Custom.
Yes, he's a coach of the Nigerian Custom. There's no anywhere you mention Scott Onaji in this country that nobody will not know him as in basketball. So for such a person to represent the technical officials on the board, it is a good, and it will give you yes. Those who I think if this election the way it started, if they allow it to go smoothly, that would end up having those that matter and those that are supposed to be within the basketball.
Of course, Alpha, what do you say about the development? Sporting Nigeria actually won his opponent by just one goal, 19 to 18. Looking at Gumod, actually won his opponent with 25 votes thereabout. But just looking at the election and the build up to the election and after the election, let's quickly get your comment before we go on the short break.
I mean, clearly it says there's wide jubilation. There's a reason why that jubilation was like that. It simply means that when you allow the will of people to stand in an election, people will be happy. So it means that these were actually the official or certain personalities that these players wanted them to represent them on the board. So when they eventually emerge and they are all happy, so
I have to cut it from there. We need to go for a short break. When we come back, it's a sports orbit. We still have a lot for you where Choma Juma has actually Jaga, Osibanjo, Uzodima, Dari, others to Lagos. Welcome from that short break. You're still sports orbit right here on the Leadership Podcast studio. We head straight to our next topic where Choma Juma actually drag the former president of Nigeria, talking about Olusegun Obasanjo, Hope Uzodinma, and the sports minister to Lagos. At this point in time, it's not the court of law, but just to actually get to support sport development, where she is about to launch a sports development center where future stars will be actually nurtured at a stadium. Sally, if we're looking at this initiative, do you think other international for them to actually adopt this model whereby we can actually get now she's going for athletics, we should actually have some for judo, for taekwondo, for basketball, for volleyball at this point in time. But briefly, let's talk about this initiative coming from the Olympic golden girl, talking about Choma Ajunwa.
Yeah, and that is a good positive one from her then. And that is what we expect from our ex-internationals. In other clients, it's ex-international tapping for something. You have to you bring your knowledge to impart on the younger one. So he has a foundation for a very long time, and he wanted to launch it openly. And the foundation has even grown some talent. I know maybe some of athletes who grew up from in the southeast where she came from. We are training some of the young. Now he's taking to the national level and then launch it at the Lagos. That is a good one. And show that is in commemoration of our 25 years anniversary when he won the gold medal for Nigeria, and that record has still stand up to today. None of Nigeria has attempted to break that record. So Congratulations to her, and I pray that other Nigerians and all those personalities that is invited to attend the event and give her the necessary motivation and encourage her. Yes, this is good because those talents that who know who is going to benefit from our foundation, who will grow from that, and whoever grow from that is due to the benefit of Nigeria.
Of course.
Alpha, do you think multinationals in Nigeria are doing justice in terms of sports development, looking at what is obtainable in the other clients?
No, I think the multinationals, like during the fallout of the elections, we said these things. You see, for these multinationals to actually come in to invest, your house has to be in order. These people don't just go in and throw money just for the sake of throwing money around. The environment has to be conducive for them to put money in. So you won't even blame the multinationals in the first place if they are not investing enough, because a lot of times they even invest. At the end of the day, this money becomes a tug of war among members of the board, who now see that as an avenue to start fighting over money that a certain multinational has, donated to a certain federation to develop sport. They now start dragging over the money, who gets what, and all of that. So if this kind of things keep happening, how many multinationals do you think will want to invest in this kind of thing? So for them to really come in, we have to put our house in order. That's the bottom line. If we get everything right, then these people will come in because they too actually want their brand to be known. They want to position their brand in such a way that they make a name for themselves. But the environment has to be right. So, but in their own little way, I think over the years, a lot of multinationals have done their best. But I think it's left for the sport administrators to do what they need to do to attract even more investors.
Of course, sport administrators, you need to do the needful so that you can actually attract some more investors to the sport in order for us to actually bring our sport to the level where the rest, world countries are actually, getting, so that we can actually get to, put our names and write our names in the history book. Away from that, we head straight back to football, where at this point in time, Oseme is actually losing his let me say it's cool at this point in time. According to him, speak to your kids, your parents. Oseme hits out at disgusting racial comment coming from let me just say Italy at this point in time. But you know that this will actually come in the international league. They are one of the the top rank league when it comes to racial abuse in that in particular. But at this point in time, Salifu, what should be your advice for Victor Seme? We know that we have said it times without number on this show that he needs to keep it cool. How he should reply those racial abuses for him to keep banging in goals.
Yeah, just like you have heard what we said before. But one thing is that you can't, in as much as it's all right, as an African player or as a black player playing Italian in Sierra League to avoid being abused. It has been their trademark.
Exactly.
But my only worry is that over the year, this thing has been persistently against several black players playing this Israel. But yet, we have FIFA, we have UEFA. No commensurable punishments have been met up in the Italian fan to keep them in their place, to checkmate them this kind of attitude. We are all human before crying out loud that you are white, that I'm black, does not make you better than me.
Exactly.
And so even in terms of football, that the round game we are watching, the African player has already, the black players, not even Africa, the black players has even proved over the years that yes, they are also better. If you look at the top rank from immemorial, Apple is a black player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any football on the earth that you mention today without record with Pele? Name the several of them. Even the we are seeing, he's a black. He's a black.
That's from Algeria.
He's from Algeria. Theory Henry, name all of them. Former world players, all most of them. Even the Ronaldo from Brazil. If you look at the it's a black player. It's not a white man. Ronaldo, mention all of them. So in terms of even the black player has even done better than the so-called white player. So, but even instead of our FIFA and the UEFA, the organized body, need to start well, and even the association, the football union, the player union, needs to stand well about the issue, to sanction the the Italian fans used to do this all the time.
Alpha, what possible sanction do you think FIFA should actually adopt in this particular situation where we actually find that even Kolobali also was one affected? Andre Frank Zabo was actually affected in that racial abuse from the Fiorentina fans.
Over the years, just like Self already said, maybe the worst UEFA will do is maybe find them a small amount of money. Maybe you hear that maybe the team has been fined maybe $25,000, $35,000. This is not enough. It's not enough.
Should the fans be banned for life?
Not just the fans. It has to get to a point where there was a time when someone once mooted the idea of if any case of racial abuse is noticed in your stadium, you should face some point deduction. Absolutely.
Yes, I support
you should be deducted some points because if you start doing that, then your fans will know that if we keep doing this,
we'll lose point.
We'll lose point, and this might end up affecting our chance of winning a title or ending up getting relegated.
So the fans be bound from coming to the stadium?
Of course, but by and large, if you come out hard against these clubs, the clubs will know how to rein in their fans. That's the truth of the matter. Because if the clubs don't feel the heat, the fans won't feel the heat, because most of the time the clubs will tell you that yes, we have millions of fans, we don't know all of them. But by the time you start taking serious sanctions against clubs, they'll find a way of identifying those fans, because those fans are there in the stadium. There are cameras everywhere. If you hit these clubs, they'll find a way of identifying those fans. Then if the sanction is too much on you, then you look for the fan and also sanction him too. That's how it should be done.
It's the same thing, right? You remember?
Yeah.
Lower than the average, they throw banana
exactly.
and the young man carry
banana. To the corner, and the corner led to a goal. Exactly.
So our appeal like okay, should be distracted. You should just keep under, just put the head on. The best way to reply them is to keep on banging and reply them.
Banking goes, that's what Salifo and Alpha are actually saying. That's the best way to actually reply those racial abuse fans in Italy. We go straight to our next story. Still talking about football at this point in time. From more cheering news coming from Kelechi Iheanacho, because he actually marked his 25th birthday with a goal that he actually scored in the Leicester City draw against Crystal Palace. He actually scored the first goal for Leicester City. It was a beautiful goal in the particular one. So he's actually joined the likes of JJ Okocha and also Bafemi Martins to have scored on their birthday right there in England, where they were actually playing for their various clubs at this point in time. Kelechi Iheanacho actually turned 25 years old yesterday on Sunday, and at this point in time, that was his first, start for Leicester City this season. When it comes to the first start, when it comes to the Premier League, and actually, I get to replay that with a great goal for Leicester yesterday. But just looking at Iheanacho, 19 years old, we saw him scoring about 14 goals in the Premier League for Leicester last season, and at this point in time, he started. Where he has actually continued from where he actually left it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The young man has, been living up to the expectation that we all saw, the potential we all saw in him when he played for, the Nigerian youth teams. But of course, going to Man City at a point, it seemed like his career was, dwindling. Even when he went to Leicester initially, but somehow from last season, he began to pick up. I think the coach has given him some level of confidence, and he's been banging in the goals from last season, and his scoring form has also continued this season. So a good one for him, and what a way to celebrate your birthday by scoring a great goal on a wonderful occasion like that.
Of course, at this point in time, former world number one, talking about Naomi Osaka at this point in time, she has actually fell out of the top 10 rated tennis player for this latest ranking coming from the world WTA. She is out of the top 10 at this point in time. She is in the number 12 position. Time is gradually come to an end at this point in time, but these are the list of the athletes in the first 10, and Naomi Osaka at this point in time she's not there, because we know that she actually came out a few weeks ago saying that she wanted to take a break from tennis. She'll be thinking about it if she will actually return to the game or not. But at this point in time, that decision has left her to be rated top 12th in the world at this point in time. Away from that, we head straight to the news coming out from Beijing Winter Olympics. The organizers are admitting that COVID-19 might just be a great a distraction getting to host the game. That great pressure is actually mounting on them for them to actually host that particular games. Away from that, quickly before we go, let's head straight to the results that went down in the English Premiership, where Liverpool, Manchester City actually share the spoils in 4-goal thriller that happened yesterday right there at Anfield. It was for me, I would say it is the best Premier League game so far in this season. But just quickly looking at the results, Crystal Palace 2-2 against Leicester, Tottenham 2-1, the one against Aston Villa, West Ham, they lost against new boys, talking about Brentford 1-2, Liverpool 2-2, Manchester United also. VAR came to their rescue. It was 1-1. Burnley and Norwich 0-0. Chelsea actually went cruising after their defeat against Juve in the midweek, but during the weekend they actually defeated Southampton at 3-1. And actually, Timo Werner actually scored one of those goals in that particular match. This United were 1-0 winner over Watford. Wolves also continued their impressive run. They actually won Newcastle 2-1. While Brighton and Arsenal actually share the spot. The Gunners couldn't actually get to score a goal in that particular match. Some people say that they were even lucky running away with a point right there in that stadium. But quickly before we close the show, let's get to the reaction on the matches decided over the weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, the match between Manchester United and Liverpool was actually linked to the deal of Man City at the top of the table clash. And it's before the match, Guardiola was trying to play mind game, saying that close you are missing a lot of things. And he wanted to get back on him, but unfortunately, since they came to the Premier League, right from their day from the
sorry, just to cut you short. Looking at the league table, Chelsea are the one leading. The standing at this point in time. After match at the 7 with 16 points. Liverpool followed 15 points. Man City 14. Manchester United 14 points. Everton 14. Brighton 14. Brentford 12 points. Spurs 12 points. West Ham 11 points in 9th position. Aston Villa actually make up the top 10 with 10 points. They have the same point with Arsenal, but they have better goal difference in that particular one. Sorry for your saying for random.
What I was trying to say that Guardiola and Klopp have been rivalry from the Bundesliga, and now they think to come to the Premier League, and since they came to the Premier League, they have not been able to get at Klopp, who have been quietly disturbing him and wanted to play mind game. Unfortunately for him again, they said the point. That was good, and it shows that the two teams mean. And if you look at the table so far, he has clearly shown that this year Premier League, it will be very tough to call who will be the end, who will be the winner at the end of the day.
Of course, looking at the bottom of the tables, Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich has not actually they have not won any match. They have just 1 point. It means they have lost 6 matches. They have joined
one point.
Of course, quickly, Alpha. Looking at the table from Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City. Is this going to retain like this, or there will be significant changes towards in the next few weeks coming ahead?
Well, there could be changes, but like I keep saying, the top 4 will be these 4 teams. I don't know in what position they'll end up, but clearly this is the top 4, except something happens.
Nobody can come into
no. You don't see Arsenal. You don't see Arsenal and Tottenham getting to break into the top 4.
I just told you that this is the top 4. I don't know how they'll end up.
So
but I know this is the top 4.
The way it is now, this is how it will end.
No, it won't end naturally like that. It might switch, but you see these 4 teams at the end of the 4 of them.
With the performance of Manchester United,
doesn't matter.
No, but as it is now, we saying okay, this guy Chelsea first, Liverpool, Man City.
Not necessarily.
I just said those teams in the first 4.
It could be Liverpool, it could be City, it could be United, but these teams will
this will be top 4.
Who will make Europe?
But what I'm saying, in the event at the end like this, are you okay with it?
Yeah, fine. Why not? Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, this is where we draw on the cutting of sport updates. It has been, mouth-watering, edition of the show. All thanks to my, your studio guests. They're talking about Salif Osman and Alpha Ojo. Also, thank to my producer for actually doing all the magic behind the scene. Talking about Daniel. But I want to actually thank you, our viewers, for staying with us. We return with yet another fresh edition of Sports Orbit tomorrow. Hopefully, we should actually bring you some actions between the Nigerian match against Central African Republic on Thursday. Hopefully, our reporter should be in Lagos. But for now, we're saying you have a lovely day ahead of you. Bye bye for now. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Bye bye.